Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with distinguished trainer Adam Booth. Thank you so much at this late hour to agreeing to give me some of your time, Adam. We've just seen Mick Conlan dispatch of Jack Bateson in impressive fashion. Just talk me through that victory.
Yeah, it was the win he needed at this stage, and you could see that he was obviously feeling the pressure of having to perform like that. But his punch, once he settled down into the fight, his punch selection and his control was excellent, like the old Mick, and it was a good finish. And that is exactly what he needed to springboard himself into bigger fights.
When you say he was feeling the pressure, how does that affect the fight? How do you pick that apart in their performances? Where does the pressure show?
Well, they both, at the start of the fight, they both looked a little bit tense, and they were both sort of a little bit stiff with their shots. But Mick was the one that used his experience to settle down into a flow and establish control without having to punch. And Jack wasn't able to figure him out, and then Mick basically became more dominant.
What would you like to see Mick do in terms of the fights that seem to be on the table for him? A Lee Wood rematch, Josh Warrington, whatever it may be. What would you like to see
I just want to see him win, and I want to see him achieve his dream of winning the world championship. And he's certainly got the pedigree and the commercial value to get the attention of a champion to create the opportunity.
Which of those two names, Lee Wood and Josh Warrington, present themselves as the harder fight for Mick?
Well, they're both difficult fights for different reasons. He knows Lee, and he knows what works against Lee. He hasn't been in with Josh yet, so with Josh there'll be a bit of an unknown. But I think they're both good fights for him. But neither of them are world title fights, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
In terms of kind of building a fighter back on the road to getting back to world title contention, how much is done for building the confidence back in the fighter with these type of fights? Do you think Mick presents himself as someone who's got that confidence for a world title shot now?
Yeah, I mean, confidence was never Mick's problem anyway. Sometimes he's probably overconfident. So it's not necessarily the thing. It's about the progression of the ups and downs of a professional career. And when you hit down times, you have to progressively build yourself back up again. But it did look like the way he was tonight that he had sort of reached a certain point of that rehab comeback status.
Okay. Moving on to one big topic I want to get your trainer's eye on, that being that big fight coming up next weekend between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Just in terms of setting the table, Adam, how do you think the fight shakes out between the two of them?
I think it'll be a high IQ, highly skilled affair. They're both masters of their craft, and it's one of those generational fights where a great champion is moving up in weight to fight another great champion.
What does Terence Crawford have to do to overcome the size and weight disparity that Canelo holds over him?
What does he have to do to overcome? He can't necessarily overcome the size and weight advantage. What he would have to do is just navigate the fight to try and stop Canelo imposing that natural advantage on him.
Mm-hmm. Is that being economical in his punches? Is that movement? What is that?
It's the art of boxing. It's about not getting hit, not getting pinned down. Look at Ray Leonard when he fought Marvin Hagler. And Hagler was the much bigger, stronger man, and Ray Leonard just wasn't there for Hagler to impose himself. And obviously, we're in a different generation of fighters now with different styles, and boxing has evolved. But I think essentially the fundamentals are the same. That he's got to win the rounds without allowing Canelo to get to the positions and land the shots that he wants to.
A lot of media, a lot of pundits feel that Canelo's a great fighter, but not as great as he once was. Do you feel that same way in terms of what he showed in his last few fights?
No, I don't. He's still a great fighter. Forget the Skull fight because it's hard. William Skull's a big, strong, athletic fella that just wasn't there to engage. But he had the size to be able to resist Canelo at times, but just ran around, and you could see that Canelo was disinterested in that fight. This is a different type of fight.
Can Crawford do what Skull did? Do you think he will try to do that?
No, I don't. No, I don't think he'll do that because Crawford's a winner, a competitor, and he's not going to allow himself just to run around and be negative like that.
Of the two game plans that are on Canelo's ledger in the form of Bivol and Mayweather, how much can Crawford draw from either of those game plans?
Neither actually. Bivol was the much bigger man naturally, with his style, and Mayweather is Mayweather. Terence Crawford's a completely different fighter. He's got to use his skill sets and his styles and his choices to win the fight. I don't think that what Mayweather did or what Bivol did will necessarily help Crawford.
There is a rumor that Terence Crawford has drafted in Floyd Mayweather to some degree to help him with the fight. I wonder if you'd heard that at all.
I hadn't.
The other thing is, for a lot of people, they feel that Gennady Golovkin has at least one victory over Canelo Alvarez. Can Crawford in some way implement what Gennady Golovkin did against Canelo?
No, because again, different styles. Golovkin was the hardest punching middleweight for a long time, and Terence Crawford was a lightweight, super lightweight, welterweight, and not a heavy-handed one-punch knockout artist in the middleweight division. So, no, again, that's not necessarily someone whose attributes that had success against Canelo is going to benefit him. He's going to have to find his own way with his own skill set.
Have you seen that gap in Crawford's armor in any of his fights? There was Kabalowskis had him down for some people, wasn't ruled a knockdown, but Terence Crawford essentially admitted that it was a legitimate punch and he was knocked down. Madrimov is something that people cite as Madrimov was able to find gaps in his armor in terms of finding the left hook as well. Have you seen that from Crawford? Are those worries for a Crawford concern?
Well, I think what they have in Canelo is a master of getting close to position to throw shots. The way that Canelo can get into range without getting caught with anything and applying his physical presence on people is as good as anyone I've seen, and he hits very hard. And I think that's the one thing that Crawford's going to have to adapt to very quickly is that he's probably going to get hit harder than he ever has done before.
Is the winner for you your pound for pound number one?
Don't know. No, not necessarily. I think if Crawford were to win, it would have much more relevance on his pound per pound status and ranking. But if Canelo won, he's beating the smaller man. I don't necessarily think it strengthens his argument.
Who is your pound for pound number one?
I don't have one really. I don't. I never have done.
Would you I know obviously you don't, but do you think Usyk's accomplishment would dwarf what Crawford maybe would be able to do if he does beat Canelo?
No. They're great. They're all great champions in their own right. We don't just this mythical pound for pound has been going on for a long time, but you can't. You got to respect and appreciate all the great champions that we got at the moment.
What's your thought on these type of fights where fighters right now, it seems to be the flavor of the month for fighters to be jumping up to weight classes to create these big fights?
It's always happened though. It's always happened. You've had middleweights move up to heavyweights way back in the day, the turn of the century. So, no, it's always happened. And when you have a great established champion in one or two divisions, it becomes a natural thing for them to take their skill sets and test themselves against bigger men.
Last and final thing, we had the news recently of Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather in an exhibition. Your thoughts on that one?
Weird. But then boxing's become a bit weird these days.
Elias, Adam, appreciate your time.
Thanks
for
you.
being seconds out.